The forest was thick with shadows, the kind that seemed to breathe and watch. Leaves whispered underfoot as a tall armored figure moved cautiously through the underbrush. Her eyes, sharp and alert, scanned every branch and every rustle. She was an alien warrior, fierce and proud. But today even she felt a cold knot twist in her stomach. She had been sent on a mission to scout this strange planet, one humans called Earth. It was not just any mission, it was a test. Her tribe was at war with another alien race, and this planet was the battleground. They wanted to claim it for resources, and every side was ruthless. But what made this mission harder was the human presence. These humans were small and fragile compared to her kind, but they had something else, courage and unpredictability. She moved quickly but carefully. The thick trees hid many dangers. She carried weapons unlike any human had ever seen, but the forest itself was an enemy. Suddenly, a strange shimmer flickered on the ground ahead. She froze. Her senses screamed caution. The shimmer was a trap. She took a step back, but it was too late. The trap snapped shut with a loud click. A net made of hard metallic fibers shot out from hidden branches. It wrapped around her legs, pulling tight like iron chains. She struggled, but the net was strong, pulling her down to the ground. She was caught. Her heart pounded. She knew this trap was designed by humans. They were clever, using the forest itself as their weapon. The alien warrior had heard stories of humans who survived by their wit and guts, but she was not sure if she would be one of those survivors. Then, from behind the trees, a shadow moved. It was a human man, tall and strong in his own way. His eyes burned with determination. He was not a soldier, but he had been watching the forest for days, waiting, preparing for something. When he saw her caught, something inside him shifted. Without hesitation, he stepped forward. He saw the danger. A hidden spike trap was about to trigger. If it hit her, it would mean death or worse. Without a second thought, he threw himself between the trap and the alien warrior. The spike shot out like a deadly arrow, aimed right at her. The man took the full force. He cried out as the spike pierced his shoulder, but he did not move away. He held the alien warrior close, using his body as a shield. Pain exploded through him, but he gritted his teeth and stayed firm. The alien woman stared at him, shock and confusion in her eyes. Why would a human risk his life for her? Her tribe had always thought humans were weak and not worthy of respect. But here, in the middle of this dark forest, this human was proving otherwise. The man pulled a small device from his belt and pressed a button. A low hum filled the air, and suddenly vines and branches around them began to move. The human had a special tool that could control the plants. He used it to pull the net away from the alien's legs, freeing her from the trap. She looked down at the man's injured shoulder. Blood was slowly soaking through his shirt. "You could have died," she said quietly, her voice full of surprise and something like respect. He smiled, though the pain was clear in his eyes. "Better me than you," he said simply. "We both want to live, right?" For a moment, the alien warrior felt something new inside her, a strange warmth she had never known. The human's bravery, his willingness to protect her, even though they were from different worlds, made her question everything she believed. The forest around them was no longer just a battlefield. It became a place of unexpected hope. Together, they moved away from the trap zone, deeper into the forest. But now side by side, the alien warrior no longer saw the human as weak. She saw him as a partner, someone she could trust. And the human, despite his injury, felt a strange connection to this fierce alien who had once been his enemy. The war was far from over, and danger was still all around them. But in this moment, something had changed. A human had risked everything to save an alien, and that choice would echo across the stars. The pain in the man's shoulder was sharp, but he barely noticed. His focus was on keeping the alien safe. The woman glanced at him, realizing that the trap was only the beginning of a much larger fight. A fight not just for survival, but for understanding. In this strange new world, they would have to learn to rely on each other, to fight together. And maybe, just maybe, to find peace in a war no one expected. The forest grew darker as night began to fall. Their journey had only just begun. The man's breath came in shallow gasps as he steadied himself against a large tree. The sharp pain in his shoulder was a burning reminder of the spike that had pierced him, but he refused to slow down. The alien woman knelt beside him, her hands gentle but firm as she examined the wound. Her fingers surprisingly warm despite the cold night air, pressed carefully around the injury. "You're bleeding a lot," she said, her voice low and urgent. "If you don't stop it, you might lose too much." He shook his head, forcing a grim smile. "I've had worse. We don't have time for this." Around them, the forest was alive with sounds: rustling leaves, distant calls of strange creatures, and the soft thud of their own footsteps as they moved deeper into the unknown. Every shadow seemed to hide a new threat. She could feel it in the air, a heavy tension that pressed against their skins like the weight of unseen eyes. "Why did you save me?" she finally asked, breaking the silence that had stretched between them. Her gaze was steady, searching his face for an answer. He looked up, his eyes meeting hers. "Because no one deserves to die in a trap like that, no matter where they come from." She blinked, taken aback by the simple honesty of his words. It was rare for anyone, especially a human, to risk themselves for another, especially an alien warrior who could have been an enemy. Yet here he was, wounded but resolute. The alien warrior's mind raced. Her tribe had trained her to see humans as fragile creatures, insignificant in the grand scheme of the universe. But this man challenged everything she believed. He was fearless in his own way, smart and quick, with a strange stubbornness that refused to give in. "Your people are different from what I thought," she admitted quietly. He shrugged, wincing as he moved his arm. "We all have our strengths. Maybe it's time we learned from each other instead of fighting." Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the trees. Both of them froze. The sound was close, too close. The forest around them seemed to darken even more, shadows deepening as a massive shape moved stealthily toward them. The man gripped his knife tightly, his eyes scanning for the source of the noise. The alien warrior rose slowly, muscles tense, ready to fight. This was no ordinary predator. It was an enemy from her own war, a hunter sent to capture or kill. The creature stepped into the faint moonlight, a towering beast with razor-sharp claws and glowing eyes that burned with hunger. It growled again, its gaze fixed on the two unlikely companions. Without hesitation, the man stepped forward, placing himself between the beast and the alien woman. His voice was steady, calm despite the danger. "Stay behind me." The alien warrior nodded, knowing this human had saved her once and was ready to do it again. Together, they prepared for the fight ahead, the cold night air charged with electricity and the promise of battle. In that moment, two worlds collided, not as enemies, but as allies bound by survival and something more powerful: trust. The beast lunged with terrifying speed, its claws aiming straight for the man's chest. He barely had time to raise his knife, slashing across the creature's forearm. A roar of pain echoed through the forest as the beast recoiled, but it was far from defeated. The alien warrior sprang into action. Her movements were swift and precise, honed by years of battle. She drew a blade from her belt, a shimmering weapon that pulsed with alien energy, and slashed at the beast's side. The creature howled again, blood sizzling where her blade cut into its thick hide. Despite the pain in his shoulder, the man didn't falter. He darted to the side, grabbing a sturdy branch from the ground and swinging it hard at the beast's head. The creature staggered, momentarily stunned by the unexpected attack. The warrior seized the chance. She rushed forward, driving her blade deep into the beast's chest. The glow from her weapon flared brightly, and the creature shuddered violently before collapsing to the forest floor. Lifeless, they both stood panting, the forest suddenly silent again except for their heavy breaths. The man's injury throbbed painfully, but he forced himself to stay on his feet. The alien woman looked at him with a mixture of gratitude and admiration. "You saved my life again," she said softly. He shook his head. "We saved each other. This warrior war, it's bigger than us. But maybe together, we have a chance." She nodded, feeling something shift inside her. This human was not just a survivor. He was a fighter, and perhaps something more, a friend. They began to move again, deeper into the forest, knowing dangers still awaited. But now, they faced them side by side, stronger together than apart. Night deepened around them, shadows stretching long and thick between the towering trees. The pain in the man's shoulder was a steady throb now, but adrenaline kept him moving. The alien warrior walked beside him, her senses alert for any sign of danger. The forest was no longer just a battlefield. It had become a maze of uncertainty, where every sound could mean an enemy or salvation. As they moved, the alien glanced at the man. "You are not like the others," she said quietly. "Most humans would have fled or left me to die." He gave a small, tired smile. "Maybe, but I was raised to protect those in need, no matter what." Her gaze softened. "Your strength is not just in your body, it is in your heart." For a moment, their steps slowed. The connection between them was unspoken, but real, a fragile trust built in the heat of battle and pain. Suddenly, a sharp noise cracked through the silence. Signal flare shot up from the direction they had come. The alien's eyes widened. "They have found us." The man's jaw tightened. "We need to move fast. They won't stop until they catch you." They ducked behind thick bushes, listening. Voices echoed, human voices mixed with strange alien tones, reinforcements. The war was closing in on them faster than they had hoped. "We can't keep running," the alien whispered, urgency in her voice. "We need a plan." He nodded, pulling out a small map from his pocket. "There's an old bunker nearby. Abandoned, but it could shelter us." She looked at the map, then at him. "Lead the way." Together, they slipped through the dark forest. Shadows among shadows. The man's injured shoulder slowed their pace, but the alien warrior stayed close, ready to defend him as fiercely as he had defended her. The war had changed everything, but so had their bond. In this strange and dangerous world, they had only each other, and that might be enough to survive. The bunker's entrance was hidden beneath a thick layer of vines and moss, almost invisible in the moonlight. The man pushed aside the heavy metal door with a grunt, and they slipped inside just as the distant sounds of their pursuers grew louder. The door clanged shut behind them, sealing them in darkness. Inside, the air was stale and cool. The walls were lined with old machinery and rusted equipment, relics of a time long past. The man reached into his bag and pulled out a small flashlight, casting a narrow beam that revealed the cramped interior. The alien warrior moved cautiously, her eyes adjusting quickly to the dim light. "This place could keep us safe for now," she said, scanning the room for any signs of danger. The man nodded, but his face was tense. "We can't stay hidden forever. They'll search this area thoroughly." She looked at him thoughtfully. "Then we need to fight back. Find a way to turn the tables." He winced as he shifted, the pain in his shoulder flaring. "I'm hurt, but I'm not done yet. What do you have in mind?" The alien warrior stepped forward and pulled a small device from her belt. "This is a jammer. It can disrupt their communications and sensors, but only for a short time. Then we use that window to escape," he said, determination shining in his eyes. They worked together quickly, setting up the jammer and preparing their weapons. Outside, the sounds of searching footsteps and distant shouts reminded them that time was running out. When the jammer activated, a sudden silence fell over the forest. The enemy's communications went dead, their sensors blind. The man and the alien warrior exchanged a nod, then slipped out of the bunker, moving swiftly through the undergrowth. With the enemy confused, they had a chance to strike back and change the course of the war. Pain and fear were still there, but now hope burned brighter. They were no longer just hunter and prey. They were allies ready to fight for each other, and for a future where humans and aliens could stand together. The battle was far from over, but this night marked the beginning of something new. Something worth every pain. The forest around them was alive with tension, but the enemy's confusion gave the man and the alien warrior precious moments to move quickly and quietly. They darted through the trees, using every shadow and sound to their advantage. The man's shoulder throbbed sharply with every step, but he pushed through the pain. The alien woman noticed his struggle and slowed her pace, matching his rhythm without a word. They were a team now, each protecting the other. Ahead, they reached a narrow ravine, a natural barrier that could help them escape, but crossing it was dangerous. The rocks were slippery, and one wrong move could mean a fall into the cold, dark water below. The alien warrior went first, her agility unmatched as she leapt from rock to rock. When she reached the other side, she turned back, extending a hand to the man. He hesitated, then grasped it firmly. With her strength helping to steady him, he made the leap safely. Together, they continued their escape. Suddenly, a sharp whistle pierced the night. Their pursuers had found them again. The man glanced back, heart pounding. "We need to fight." The alien warrior's eyes flashed with fierce determination. Let them come. They took positions behind large boulders, ready for the enemy to appear. When the first attackers emerged from the trees, they were met with a fierce resistance. The man fought with everything he had, his knife flashing in the moonlight. The alien warrior moved like a shadow, striking quickly and precisely. Though injured, they fought as one, their bond turning the tide against the enemy. Slowly but surely, they forced their pursuers back into the forest. Breathing heavily, the man looked at the alien woman. "We survived, together." She smiled, a rare softness in her fierce eyes. Pain is worth it if it means life and trust. As dawn began to break, casting light over the battered forest, they knew the war was far from over, but so was their fight, side by side, against whatever came next. ChatGPT said, the first light of dawn filtered through the thick canopy, casting soft golden beams onto the scarred forest floor. The battle had ended for now, but its marks remained clear. Both the man and the alien warrior were bruised and exhausted, yet there was a quiet strength between them that neither had expected to find. They sat together on a fallen log, catching their breath. The man winced as he adjusted his injured shoulder, but the pain no longer seemed unbearable. The alien woman studied him, her eyes thoughtful and calm. "We have survived many battles tonight," she said softly. "But the greatest fight lies ahead, not just between our peoples, but within ourselves." He nodded, feeling the truth of her words. The war that had brought them together was brutal and unyielding, but their unexpected alliance had opened a new path, a chance for understanding and hope. "Maybe," he replied, "this is the beginning of something different. A future where humans and aliens fight not as enemies, but as allies." She smiled, a genuine warmth that reached her eyes. "I never believed that possible until now. Your courage, your heart, it changed everything." They rose slowly, leaning on each other for support as they prepared to move forward. The forest was still dangerous, and their journey far from over, but together, they were stronger. As they stepped into the awakening world, the pain they endured became a symbol of their bond, the price paid for trust, survival, and the hope that one day, peace might bloom from the ashes of war. The unexpected war had tested them both, but it had also shown them the power of unity. And in that truth, they found something worth every pain. Their story was just beginning,